Hey everybody, it's your girl Bunny. To all of my returning subscribers, hey, how you doing? And for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. Kick your feet up, subscribe to this family-friendly channel, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss any posts. Also follow me on Instagram at the same profile name so you don't miss the sneak peeks of what's coming up next. In this video, it's The Handmaid's Tale, Season 4, Episode 7, entitled Home. I give a recap of the entire episode with photos offset to the side, and then I give my review at the end. No need to dig around. I have all of the minute marks in the comments. It's all coming up next. June is greeted by Mark Tuello and Rachel Tapping on behalf of the U.S. government, welcoming her onto Canadian soil. Mark assures that she's okay and safe. He asks June a few questions. If you were to return to Gilead, would you be subject to danger or torture, a risk to your life, or cruel and unusual punishment? June responds, yes. Would you be persecuted based on being a woman? June responds with yes again. June, you understand you're here to seek safety and asylum as a citizen of the United States? June is hesitant with responding, and Warrior whispers encouragement, saying, "You got this." June answers, "My name is June Osborne, and I'm a citizen of the United States, and I seek asylum in the country of Canada." Mark tells her, "Thank you. This way, please." June is brought to a hotel for a few days to assure her safety, health, and well-being. It's an odd sight seeing working women and freedom. Mark and Rachel go over the next few items of mental health evaluations and to contact them if needed. Meanwhile, June tunes out their voices in shock of this new environment. Moria has to leave, but assures June that she'll kiss Nicole and tell her that her mommy loves her. There's awkward words and actions between Luke and June. Everything is very strange. He's asking questions, trying to assure some sort of comfort. Above ordering room service and everything else, June just wants to use the restroom. It's obvious confusion, and June is trying to absorb all of the changes. June finally has the freedom to wash her hair and use fragranced soap, and being able just to take her time. Later on, Luke is dressed up and sets out a romantic room service dinner. June peeps in on what he's doing, but closes the door and just wants to rest. Luke goes into the room and sees that she's fast asleep. When June wakes up, Luke is watching her every move. He reports that she's been asleep for 17 hours straight. Luke is elated that she's there right in front of him, and he just can't believe it. And there's still some awkwardness, but June invites him to sit next to her. They both apologize on should-haves and could-haves, which anchors more conversations, and they forgive each other. June, although, embellishes on encounters with Hannah, saying that Hannah is aware that she's trying to get her and that she's grown up a lot and mommy and daddy really love her. June describes to Mark about the bartender that assisted her in escaping and helping everyone get on that plane. He was Asian and had a skinny build. He helped with the mission to board the individuals on the plane, but all June remembers is his name referring to himself as Billy. Mark is impressed with all of June's accomplishments, seeing how she had no outside connections with anyone outside of Gilead. June credits that ability by being driven to make them hurt the way we hurt. The kidnappers, the Serenas, what they all deserve. They take everything from you. Luke encourages a break and to continue the debriefing later. Mark insists that they need to continue because it's best to go ahead and debrief with all of the memories fresh in the mind. Luke isn't having it, and he's stern on stopping the debriefing. He wants to take June home to relax and to see their daughter. June is shocked to see home and even freezes at reality. She walks in to see not only Moria, but Nicole and Emily as well. She embraces her daughter until nightfall and whispers that they are blessed to have everyone they love take care of them. Serena prays for protection, repents, and asks for forgiveness, that he doesn't punish her baby for any of her wrongdoings. She wants strength to raise the baby on her own and to give birth to a healthy baby. Mark overhears the prayer, and Serena confirms again that she declines to see her husband and calls him just a sperm donor. She even got word of June's arrival and feels that she'll complicate her case. Mark reminds her that she needs to speak more with her husband to get him to open up more, because details will help with her case. Serena meets with Fred, and he wants to renew their relationship and be more and togetherness for their child. She continues to say no, and Fred says they need to team up concerning their cases, because with June present, they both can be planted behind bars for the maximum sentence and never see their son again. June wakes up to the sounds of baby coos, kitchen noises of cooking, and small talk between Luke and Maria. They plan the fluidity of the day, all to assure that June can get more rest. June interjects herself into the conversation, insisting that she go with them to the grocery store, invite Emily to come over later, and bring her son Oliver. They have concern that maybe it's too much too soon and a culture shock, but June thinks it's what she needs. June is amazed by the store and the realism and changes of something as simple as potato chips. She also observes how well Moria and Luke work as a team to take care of the baby. June wants to help with something and says that she'll pick out the chips herself and get back with them at the checkout. While selecting items, June gets traumatic flashbacks of abuse and seeing what she thinks is handmaids when it's only women dressed in their religious garments. She then sees a symbol that reminds her of Gilead wings and has more traumatic flashbacks. The overwhelmed emotion and shortness of breath leads her to sit down and have a panic attack. June awakens later that evening from knocks at the door. It's Emily and Oliver, and June is upset that she forgot it was her idea to invite them over. She tries to collect herself and welcomes Emily and Oliver, and even requests a hug, and Oliver is happy to give her one. Even Rita stops by, and June is happy to see her as well. The ladies discuss how much Gilead has messed up their lives, the physical connections of having sex again, and if they deserve the lives that they have now. Moira reminds everybody that they shouldn't have any guilt about anything because they did what they had to do to survive. June learns the news that Rita saw Serena and that she's pregnant. The room comes to a very quiet standstill. And Rita also reports that the baby is Fred's. June is furious, and the ladies can see it on her face. But they try to downplay the entire situation to change the mood in the room. June says, well, F them. I don't really care anyway. Moria catches up with Una dropping off a gift for June. Moira tries to speak with Una, but she's clearly still upset. And Una updates that there are no big changes with her job because unfortunately there's no more permission to go to Gilead or anywhere outside of Canada. She's upset that she chose June over her and her career and understand where she stands now. Moira pleads to have a fight and to get out all of the emotions, to clear up any and everything so they can move on together. She wants to fight for her and their relationship. And she feels that they could be forever. Una says that they can fight another time and that she can call her later. Luke is happy that June had some time to talk with the ladies and June tries to initiate some sort of sensual kiss or physical connection, but it comes off as very uncomfortable for June and she pushes away. But Luke is very understanding and tells her, please don't apologize, I understand. Later on that night, June can't sleep because Serena is the source of the insomnia. June sneaks out to meet with Mark, and it's to see Serena. Serena wants to make amends and says that she believes that God brought them together again. June leans into Serena, letting her know that she's the cause of her suffering to her life, child, family, and many others, her country, and that the last person that should have anything is Serena. All Serena deserves is suffering. Serena says that I'm sorry and begs for forgiveness and the Lord's understanding. June tells her that God blessed her with that child, so when it dies, she will feel a fraction of what others have felt when their children were pulled away from their arms. June returns home and tries to make love to Luke, and it starts some physical connection. But that's quickly disturbed by awkward lovemaking, because then she begins to force Luke to not be able to move or speak. And we can tell that Luke is very uncomfortable, and it's not enjoyable to him. June testifies about Serena's toxicity, that she's a psychopath, abusive, a pathological liar, and she's a monster. What drives her is hatred and rage. Underneath it all, she's nothing and has pure misery. She'll do anything not to feel that way. She'll do anything to get what she wants. Lie, hurt you, force herself upon you and others. So if you feel yourself getting sucking into her, run. Run for your life. And there's shots of Serena going to Fred saying she needs him. And that is the end of the episode. I hope that you enjoyed that recap of this episode. Now it is time for your favorite part of the video, which is my review. Another amazing episode. Now with this one, it seemed to slow the pace so we can understand what's going on when it comes to asylum, investigation, movements of certain countries. When Una told Maria that the job that she has can no longer go to Gilead, nor can they go anywhere outside of Canada, lets us know more of the restrictions that they have and the safety precautions that they must take when it comes to giving rescue need, food supplies, medical supplies, right? But if you remember in a few episodes ago, Gilead is suffering with supplies. They're suffering with having their I guess you can say certainty of certain things, right? Trade is becoming a big issue with Gilead as well. And that's something that Lawrence mentioned to Nick, that, hey, if we can cease fire, maybe we can convince other people that we can, meet along certain borders to trade. So both sides, right, are going through the same thing when it comes to that. And that was good to see. And this is something that I've been talking about in all of the reviews, that if we can start to see the perspectives of everywhere in the world, and really more so Canada, then we can really get the ball rolling and understanding how powerful each area is, right? So we're finally getting to that. Before I get into any more details, I want to start with the backboard of when it comes to creating their case. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but not only do they have Serena and Fred on this wall, but they have Nick as well. And they have very, very, very specific details about Nick. So Nick is holding his position within Gilead, right? So I can make a good guess that with Nick and Lawrence back into the panel and getting more power and more people agreeing with Lawrence, will this cause a pushback towards Nick? Will they not see him as the powerful source anymore? Then will it cause Nick to push back and push away from Gilead? Because he's always said since the beginning, right, since June met him and since we were introduced to the Nick character, that it's something that he didn't want to do, but he did it to survive and just ended up over time just really, really sticking with that group. It's going to be very difficult to think that Nick is in a place where he's against Gilead. But when it comes to survival, jail time, and all that good stuff, you'd be amazed how quickly people change their tune, right? So this is going to create complications because we have the child, right, between June and Nick. We have the love, passion, and connection between June and Nick. It was very easy for June to kiss and be passionate with Nick than Luke. And we can all attribute that to trauma, experience, and time because it's been years and she's had visions and reminisced about Luke and the memory of who he was back then. But she's fallen in love with somebody else, right? In between all of that time. There's so many crescendos that are developing with this. Okay, so I want to try to take my time so you can understand how the script can go so many different ways, which is beautiful, excellent writing. Because me figuring out series and like, not being entertained because I think I have everything figured out is very frustrating. You know, it's just like, I know what's going to happen with this and it's so predictable. But with this show and this season, it can really throw us for the loop. So let's talk about the first one. With June, her dynamic can completely shift when we start to go into the case and if they capture Nick or something happens with Nick, right? Because you have Moria and Luke and all these other people that have lived and conjured everything about June while she was in Gilead. Because that's what loved ones do. They've taken care of her daughter. They've had this foundation dedicated to her. All of this stuff, right? And what if there's this dynamic that when we have Nick and she's more passionate and she's more defensive of Nick, how is that going to correlate with her family? How is that going to correlate for her well-being? Because we have all of these backfirings from June's actions. Una and Maria, Luke and his relationship with June. There's no sexual, which is understandable because what everything June has went through. But June still went through those experiences and still kissed Nick on the bridge and had no problem doing that as a handmaid in that attire. So we have that dynamic. Will Moria have this feeling of resentment and anger that she's given up so much for June? And will she feel over time that June is not going to be there for her? Will there be a dynamic and change of friendship, which is possible? Also, the second dynamic, we have, of course, Serena and Fred that have done this shift. And, you can never trust a liar. You can never trust a hustler when it comes to getting what they want. The narcissism, the psychopath personality. Fred could be playing game at the same time. He may totally flip, right? Because he's saying, let's work as a team and we might not be able to see the child anymore. But when it comes to his case, because of course they had two separate cases, and he's saying, let's work as a team. So what is his motive? And it could be a good guess that he's going to use Serena to then throw her under the bus to get his freedom. Because when you're talking about maximum time, because if you notice at the end, one of the things that closest toward the end when he talked to Serena, he said, hey, we're looking at maximum time here. And he mentioned the child after the fact. So he could use Serena and the motivation of that child to where he's not getting the maximum sentence. It could be possible, y'all, that Fred knows that he can't have children. And maybe he's gotten medical confirmation that he can't have children. And maybe he's going to have it in the back pocket of, hey, I know who your real father, the father of the baby is. I have a feeling he's going to have that in his back pocket and saying, I know that she's lying. And on top of that, she lied to me to my face, and he can use that in his case because he's thrown her under the bus before, which, he threw his own wife under the bus, which had her pinky finger, taken off. So if he's done it before, he can do it again. So they think that they're using each other. Serena thinks that she's using him, but they probably really using each other, which is highly plausible. Highly plausible. Another scenario is that, like I said, when it comes to jail time, war, food, all of this other stuff, people can change their dynamic. It is possible that Gilead has spies, in Canada. The main crescendo of the series, I think, is we'll find out who are spies in Canada and who are spies in Gilead. Because one thing that Mark said that was really interesting to me is that he said to June, wow, you did all of this and you didn't have any outside contacts outside of Gilead. He said that for a reason. So it's very obvious that he's aware of possible spies. And the fact that they know about Nick and him being so high in level in Gilead is very interesting. Very interesting. And the fact that you're able to have him in that mix. They know of Nick, but they have so many details about him being a driver on that board, and then all the way until having the status that he has now. It's all going to boil down to paternity. It's all going to boil down to DNA testing, proving a lot of things to a lot of people. It's also very popular that because of June's they gotta pay kind of energy, that she could mess up a lot of stuff, and she could mess up the case when it comes to helping Serena and Fred be free people. So it's just like you've gotten so far, and it's like, June, let's not drop the ball on this, on how you can mess up that case. So let's talk about traumas, right? There's something about traumas that you can't, quote unquote, get over certain things so fast. June came back, quote unquote, home, thinking she can just go back to the norm. Oh, I can do this, I can do that. But the brain has its own way of healing, right? Going back to, quote unquote, reality wasn't as easy as June thought. She thought that she was going to rest and just take a nap, but she would sleep for 17 hours straight. Her body was forcing her to rest. And she started to see that she's not in control of everything. And her realizing that her control is not what she thinks it is a good reality check. That you have to take baby steps, that you can't keep pushing yourself to the limit because your body will let you know. Also, the body and the women discussing how their sexual activity is just shot because you have traumatic experiences connected with that. They're trying to continue with healthy lifestyles and being in relationships, but they're trying to see, how can I start that life again and be myself? So, and then deciphering what is normal and what's not normal. Serena, I just want to know what's up with her. I just really think that Serena and Fred have their own individual plans, and they're playing a game. And it's going to backfire on both of them at the end. We're going to see more people in Gilead up on that wall, because with people investigating and their supplies getting low, but they still have strong military force, a lot of stuff can implode, right? It can be destroyed from the inside out. And hopefully, I keep saying this, hopefully if there is, more seasons, I hope it doesn't extend more than 5 or 6 seasons, because that would just be kind of unnecessary. I just like, wow. What's happening with other countries? It's just the curiosity is just itching, but I know that they have to do baby steps and discuss Canada, and then discuss, we just got to see Chicago and the ruins of that. So I'm loving it. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss any posts. I know that this video was a little bit more lengthy because the writing has shifted a lot, and we're getting more details when it comes to cases, which is very, very, very important. But let me know what you think. Subscribe. Don't forget to click that notification bell and like this video. I'm just anxious. I'm just so excited to see comments that you maybe can list below. If you're here just for this show, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week for next week's episode. If not, make sure that you check out other shows on this channel in the playlist, and also some of the recent series that are in the pinned comment. Make sure to check that out. I recommend by looking at the fun dating reality show series Ready to Love, which is on the OWN and Discovery Network. Check that out. In the meantime, take care of yourself and each other. I'll see you next time. Bye.